Hey, welcome back to the Pilot's Mindset episode 20 out of the 29-day consistency challenge. Honestly, round of applause. We're almost in 3 weeks into this consistency challenge. I know it's been a journey. Trust me, it's been a journey for me making a video. No matter what the motivation was, I showed up, and I sure hope that you did as well for your own self. We are moving the needle. We are making progress together. Almost 3 weeks into the challenge, it is definitely a victory to celebrate. We only have just over a week to the completion of the challenge, so congratulations. Tonight, we are tying some of the concepts that we've talked about separately, such as aviate, navigate, communicate, which basically are the 3 priorities that we have to follow should an emergency arrive in aviation, flying wise, I mean to say. And even in normal, actually it's not even emergency wise, but it helps tremendously in the event of an emergency so as to be able to prioritize what's important and keep what's important. But of course, we use this as well in normal and abnormal operation because it's a fantastic framework. And tonight what we're doing is we're tying this with Jim Quick's fantastic Venn diagrams, the mindset, the methods, and the motivation. How are we tying things up, and how can we harness the power of this? Because boy, oh boy, is it ever powerful when we have a framework to follow so as to reach our freaking amazing dreams, right? I'm not even talking about the goals tonight because we're going to go even further than the goals. We're going to talk briefly about the systems behind them. And this is how we build the system. So, aviate. Aviate is your mindset. Your mindset is basically the foundation of where you are heading to. Okay? You cannot aviate. You cannot have an aircraft that flies smoothly and safely if you do not have a crystal clear picture of where you want to go and who you think you are, because that's what is the most important thing, is the identity. Example, if you want to become a musician, okay, guitar here. If you start saying, well, I don't know how to play the guitar, I'm going to try and we'll see where it leads, you are still in your identity of someone who doesn't play the guitar. But if you're like, okay, I am making the conscious choice that I am a musician in the making, then automatically what's going to happen is you're going to say, okay, I'm a musician in the making, but I am a beginner. So I have actually made a contract with myself, so I need to practice on a regular basis because I am shifting my identity from who I currently am to who I am currently thinking I am. You see the difference? Who I currently am to who I am thinking / believing, it's way more important, I am. So if you believe that you are a musician in the making, well, guess what? You're going to start acting like such. So consistency challenge will help you tremendously for sure. So maybe you're going to practice 5 minutes every day or something like that, and you'll see progresses and it will make sense. The whole picture will make sense. You will be clear on your beliefs, you will be clear on your goals, and you will make progress. And that's the foundation, that's the fundamental framework, the architecture that's going to allow you to move forward, your mindset. Okay? It will foster an environment of growth, and it will allow you to head in the right direction. Okay? And of course, you want to have measurable goals. So you will want to track these goals. In our flight deck, we have very important gauges that we look at for the fuel flow, for instance, the oil temperature, the oil pressure. These are fundamental because they give us the information of how healthy our engines are at all times. Well, that's the exact same thing with your mindset, your overall progression. Make an honest check on yourself. Where do you stand with regards to the goals that you set? You know, have you mastered that scale on the guitar? Uh, if yes, at which tempo, for instance? You know, like, so have measurable goals. It's just an example with the guitar, but it could be learning on how to fly. You know, so say you've just started learning how to fly. How good are you at maintaining a heading? How good are you at maintaining an altitude, etc., 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 etc. And so you rate yourself. You have measurable goals, and now you have the aviate part of it crystal clear. So it's about mental clarity and embody the identity of the person you want to become. Okay? That's mindset slash aviate. Aviate means priority. Okay? Second is navigate, and it's all behind me. I am going to turn towards the board here. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Okay? That's the range of priority, and it's a very nice dynamic, and it revolves, right? It's an ever revolving circle. You always start with aviate, you navigate, and you communicate. Then you come back to aviate. And that's exactly how you manage to reach your goals, how you manage to reach your dreams. You constantly check on those three priorities. And if you tie this up with the mindset, the momentum, the methods, oh my God, and the motivation, obviously, right? Mindset, motivation, methods, all revolving constantly, self-sustained by the momentum, then boom, you have your recipe for success, right? So navigate is motivation. Navigation. What does navigation mean in aviation? It means going from point A to point B. What does this mean? It means you need to find a way to have a very effective method so as to stay on track. As far as we're concerned, we use GPS nowadays. Before we were using a little more archaic way of navigating our way above Mother Earth, staying the course. Well, guess what? If you have the right clarity, once again, this is why it's so important. See how things are tied together. If you have the right clarity of your goals, then you will start building a system that sustains it. Again, and this is the navigation. Navigation meaning the choices that you make, okay? If you have the right clarity, we've talked about it, the right technique, meaning measuring your goals, okay, then you can make the right choices along the way. You can navigate through your existence based, now we're building on top of what we've already said, based on the identity of the person you had decided to become. You're going to make a different set of choices. As soon as your foundations are laid and they're rock solid, now you're going to make the choices, the proper choices. You're going to work actually on making the choices that are going to work in favor of your goals. And it's even more than your goals, because your goals, once you reach your goals, you will lose your momentum. So it's in favor of the system that you're going to develop so as to reach your goals. You see the nuance? You have to fall in love with the process itself. A reason why I keep doing those YouTube videos, even if I still have a lot to learn, etc., etc., it's the process that's fascinating, the journey itself. If I keep on fixating of having more views, or what else could I fixate on? Having more views would be a goal. What else could be a goal? Having a studio maybe down the road, or having a better gear, actually something more palatable. If I kept on fixating on these goals, well, as soon as I would reach these goals, these milestones, my momentum would decay. If I only were interested in the goals, okay, that's very important to understand. If I change my focus onto the system itself, the process of doing, the process of making progress, then it's for life. It's an ever revolving circle, right? Once again, aviate, navigate, communicate, mindset, motivation, methods, all surrounding, and it all checks. And then it's a process of refining and getting better and better and better and better. And this is what keeps the momentum going. This is very, very important to understand. In other words, navigate is your why. It's keep the motivation. And you can also use techniques like projecting yourself in the future. So if you struggle finding the motivation, use the technique of visualization. We talked about meditation the other day. I think it was 3 days ago, I believe. Well, guess what? As you do your meditation, you can use a technique of visualization, meaning that as you close your eyes, you're going to picture yourself in the future, but what you're going to focus on is the feel, not all the details that are going to be part of your ideal self, ideal future. Okay, it's the feel. If you focus on how you want to feel in the future, you'll see that it's going to unlock so many doors. This is part of the navigation. By focusing on how you want to feel in the future, what's going to happen is your subconscious is going to start pushing you, making the right choices, allowing your aircraft, your own self, navigating through all the choices that you're going to need to make. Okay? That's what it is. Communicate. Communicate is, in aviation, an effective communication is absolutely paramount. It's paramount between the crew, it's paramount between the air traffic controllers and the crew, and it's paramount with whoever plays a role in the system, ground crew personnel, our operational center, etc., etc., etc. To the same token, that effective methods will lead you to where you want to go. All right? A method, consistency. Another method, the 1% rule. Why? Because it compounds. Compounding is huge. Remember, we talked about the 1% rule. It's part of the momentum. If you keep on trying to get better, and ever so slightly, right? It's just 1% per day. We've already talked about it. Straight from Atomic Habits by James Clear. You'll get, at the end of the year, a result that amounts to 37 times better than when you started. So it's substantial, substantial. That's the communication part of it. And I've got all my notes here because there's a lot to unpack tonight, and it's absolutely critical that we all understand this. I'm slowly discovering all these techniques, and I can finally tie them to my personal experience. So it's really, really, really cool. And of course, I'm going to give you an example of my personal story once we've covered this whole subject. So, methods. What are we talking about in reality? Time management. Be honest with how much time you dedicate to things that serve you and things that do not serve you, and even make you jealous or make you angry or make you somewhat in a depressive state of mind, like browsing social media and looking at how amazing everybody else's life is, and you sit in this rut and you're so unhappy with yourself, or maybe you're not as happy as you think you should, etc., etc. Time wasters nowadays are everywhere. We are in a society where we are overly stimulated all the time, so we need to find techniques to manage our time. We need to find techniques to say no. Anytime we say no, it's a vote in favor of the more efficient person we want to become, the more productive. Of course, we're not robots, but what we have to understand is if we manage to be more productive at any given task, it means that we're acquiring more freedom. It sounds completely counterintuitive, but that's actually the reality. If we spend less time procrastinating, more time on what we need to do, then guess what? We have way more time to truly enjoy what makes us feel fulfilled, purely and simply. All right? Time management, it's tied with productivity hacks. So how can you become more productive? Well, say, have you ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix? You know, if you haven't, I'm going to expose this very simple method. You take a whiteboard like this or a piece of paper, and then you draw a horizontal line across, okay, a vertical line, and then you're going to go important and urgent. So you're going to have 4 spaces, okay? Very easy to understand. Top left, important and urgent. Non-important and urgent. Non-urgent, important, non-urgent, non-important. What does this mean? Urgent means needs to be accomplished right away. Important means it has a certain level of importance, but I am going to sacrifice it if it doesn't need to be done right away. Look it up. Eisenhower matrix. It's very, very important to look at it because it will allow you to save a lot of time. It has done wonders for my personal life. You write, you fill out those 4 spaces, and you'll see that you and I, waste a lot of time on things that are non-urgent and non-important. You'll be absolutely blown away. All right. What else? Try to find a way to maybe not fall in the trap of getting distracted all the times. So maybe your notifications. I know it sounds very trivial, but actually, how many of us do pay attention to all the emails that do not serve us? Unsubscribe. If you don't need any of these promotional emails that you subscribed to a long time ago because you were part of a huge mailing list, unsubscribe systematically. Make your life easier. Same with your notifications. Keep the ones that are important and urgent, or at least important yet non-urgent, okay? But the ones that are non-urgent, non-important, I can tell you I have tons, and I have gotten rid of them, and it once again has changed my overall productivity. All right, and once again, you gotta stay crystal clear with your priorities. Once again, when you say no to someone or no to something, it means that you say yes to another thing. And hopefully, this another thing is the one that needs to be done in order of priority. Aviate, navigate, communicate. See, it's all tied together. It's constant. It's all tied together. Why is it so important to have this model? Because there are so many things in life that keep pulling us in and out and left and right. And it's as if life was designed to constantly test us, to constantly challenge us on how good we are at keeping the track. And it's funny because when we fly, it's the exact same thing, honestly. Remember when we were talking about autopilot, no autopilot? Well, guess what? I was talking about how hard it is to maintain your altitude, but there was one thing I actually didn't talk about, is when we fly on a long distance, we have to follow what we call a great circle, meaning that we have to alter our heading ever so slightly very, very, very minutely, every so often. Could be over the course of a 8-hour flight, maybe there's a 10, 15, 17 degree variation. 8 hours, right? Now, if you think of a 5-hour flight, maybe there's a variation of 4, 5, 6 degrees or something like that, right? So what I'm getting at is that you have to use this model so as to stay on track. And it's very easy just by those minute input from life, right, pushing you in a certain direction, to be way off track at the end. If you think of back to a flight, if you think of a flight that takes off from Vancouver, British Columbia, to say, I don't know, Los Angeles, for instance. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes or something. Okay, you go down from Vancouver, BC, in Canada, down to Los Angeles, in California, right? If you screw up your heading by 4 degrees to the right from Vancouver, guess what? You're going to end up somewhere 200 or 300 miles away in the Pacific Ocean, right over the Pacific Ocean, 300 miles away from LA. Maybe not 300 miles, but 200 miles easily. So once again, the compounding effect is at play here, okay? Remember, compounding is super powerful. It's super powerful when it comes to positive things. That's your virtuous circle. And it's also super, super, super negative and super destructive in your virtuous circle. I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight. I hope it helped somehow. Keep your priorities. Keep what's important, and keep on checking. Am I following my track properly? Am I on track? Can I measure my progress? Am I respecting the aviate, navigate, communicate? Am I respecting the mindset? The methods, the motivation, so as to be limitless. And if you do so, there's something magnificent that happens. Fulfillment. You feel fulfilled. Your heart and your brain are in full coherence, and you soar like an eagle. This is why Jim Quick calls this limitless. It's as if you were unlocking the power of your mind. Because your heart is your engine, right? Is your engine to love life, to love people, to help people. But if you lack the methods, you're not going to go anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, my heart, my passion for first of all, for connecting with people, for aviation, for making progress, is the engine, is the driving force. But sometimes I lack methods. I do have the motivation. I have the mindset, because I believe I can do it. I believe I can get better at what I put my energy on. But the methods are where I usually lack. So if you manage to identify what you need to improve, then your picture becomes crystal clear. This has been one of the longest videos. I hope that you've gotten something out of this. If there's one big takeaway, keep what's important in order. on this note, keep the blue side up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.